Okay, so yeah, today the inquiry that I felt like putting out there is how we create our reality from our nervous system state that we're in. And because as a chiropractor, I work with nervous systems every day, I actually have, yeah, like this kind of lens that I look through this work, natural success work that we do through the nervous system. And the reason I wanted to share it with you today is because it's actually been really enlightening for me to really get to know myself a little bit better from kind of an unpersonal viewpoint. Because what I realized is that the nervous system state that I was in for a long time, and of course I'm still in sometimes, really determines everything, determines the choices that you make, and determines eventually your reality. And I wanted to share this quote that I love. It's a quote from one of my teachers. He's also a chiropractor. The shape, tone, and quality of your nervous system determines the shape, tone, and quality of your life. So really, everything we see, everything we hear, everything we perceive actually travels through nervous system, sensory nerves into the brain. So the quality of the state of your nervous system, so the state that your brain is in, actually really determines a lot of your reality. And it was quite interesting, like my journey into this whole chiropractic journey started when it's about 25 years ago when I met my husband. He was still in college, actually, and I met him in Kakadu National Park. He's Australian as well. There's a big protest on at the time, so we all, us hippies, we all traveled there to protest. And he was in his last year of his studies, and he started to, and I actually didn't really know what chiropractic was, or he didn't even never experienced it, because where I'm from, Holland, it's not so it's not really a regular thing, chiropractors. It wasn't so well known in Holland. So he started adjusting me, and what actually happened was quite incredible, because all of a sudden, and this was really like a moment in time, like all of a sudden my whole perspective and perception changed. So I always looked at life a little bit, because my nervous system, as I'll explain a little bit later, my nervous system was mainly in stuck and in shutdown state for a very long time of my life. And all of a sudden, I realized there was a shift, that I, instead of kind of watching at life as being a spectator, so watching at the game of life, I all of a sudden was in it. And all of a sudden, I felt a participator of life. So this actually really inspired me to become a chiropractor myself. So this is how I started my chiropractic journey. But I know how important the state of your nerves, I really experienced that. And so the themes for today is the state of your nervous system determines the choices you make, and eventually your experienced reality. And the structure of your nervous system determines also your ability to change and to learn. And the good news is that we can always, at all times, change the structure of our nervous system. And because our nervous systems and our brains are highly plastic, that means there is a high plasticity, which means that we can always change. And of course, it's true that possibly the older we get, we need more will and determination, because our those pathways have been like kind of forming grooves for so long. But until your body is still warm, you can always change and upgrade your nervous system. And of course, the third theme is that awareness is key. Awareness of what state of your nervous system you're operating from. I hope by the end of the day that you learn a little bit more about how your own nervous system is wired, and that you can map your own nervous system. And after this introduction, I want to dive into some circles, so we can, I'll put you all in breakout rooms so you can work together to dive a little bit deeper into what unique strategies your nervous system or you adopt to resist change and growth. And what we learn later is this is all to keep you safe. And the premise for today is that we are all powerful beings. We continually create our reality from moment to moment. We are equipped with a marvelous mind that can envision what we love, an intelligent and wise heart to feel the emotion of our vision, and a body to bring this into reality. I call this is your inner technology. So we all have an incredibly powerful and intelligent inner technology that we can work with. And interesting, if you look at true nature, what is true nature? It's actually everything that makes you human, which is, yes, it is your divine, godlike ability of your intuition, the connection with your higher self, and that deeper knowing that we all have, that feeling connected with everything and everybody, and that that wisdom to really learn and grow and expand. However, we also have, I call it like we're both gods and animals in a way. So we also have that animalistic nature that wants to keep us safe. So we're hardwired for safety and for procreation, actually, because we want to, of course, reproduce. So as a species. So procreation and safety is actually, as we learn a little bit later, our number 1 priority. And of course, what I love about the natural success work and what we also do as chiropractors, that's why I see so many these similarities with chiropractic, is that we increase your divine godlike by kind of strengthening those neural pathways by stepping into the circles and by envisioning what we love. But we're also really acknowledging our current reality. So we actually need both to really express what we are. So what does it actually mean to live an expanded version of ourselves? What it means is that we become aware of what survival strategies we actually adopted, since, of course, these are since we've been very young, and what choices we make from these states. And by integrating those past experiences and emotions that are all stored, they're still stored in your nervous system, you will recreate your current reality until you consciously integrate and heal the emotions that are stored in your nervous system. And of course, this is part of what we do as chiropractors, that we call those areas subluxations in the spine. And these are areas where they are literally disconnected from your brain. So these are areas of you where you have forgotten yourself, because you had to protect yourself. Often they are based on either a traumatic experience or a series of traumas. And you know how we are all such incredibly sensitive beings. Like I had a client today that her past wasn't overly traumatic. It was just that her mom was really controlling and didn't really accept her as she was. So she felt she adopted a strategy to fully forget herself, to please her mom, because her mom was, of course, her lifeline, right? So that's what you do as a kid. And this is hugely traumatic for her, although it wasn't like physical or that kind of abuse, but it was still traumatic. So we all have traumas that are stored in our nervous system. until we are able to integrate those parts of us. So what I do with my work as a chiropractor, I basically say to parts of you, like, this is you as well. And I'm sending parts of you back home. So you become more and more whole and more of what you are. And sometimes I feel like if all the parts of you are looking the same way, it's a lot easier to create and live life as a part to as opposed to parts of you that are stuck in when you were 5 or 7 or other parts of you. So we really need everything of you to fully express our purpose and true nature. And then I just wanted to go over some of the tools that you can use to regulate your own nervous system and to get back into the flow. Yeah, this is something that I sometimes I work with, like where I call it an ascension model, is where we ultimately we all want change. So ultimately we want to change and experience an expanded version of ourselves. But change is actually learning new experiences. And when your nervous system is not able to integrate new experiences because it is stuck in this survival mode, it's actually going to be very difficult to change and learn new things. And eventually, of course, we want to move above the dotted line. This is our human journey. Yeah, so what does it truly mean to express your gifts and talents? Maybe we can I can stop sharing, and maybe somebody feels like sharing, like what's landing so far, and what does it mean to express your gifts and talents? Somebody wants to share? Eva, Kate?
Thanks. A couple of, lots of things that you've said have struck a chord and brought up different emotions. I felt sadness about the areas of me that I've forgotten, just that that language around that. And yeah, I don't think I haven't experienced like that physical trauma, but I know there's been emotional trauma. And so, yeah, there's parts of me that I've forgotten to keep me safe. And I love the inner technology, the way that you express that. I'm going to engage my inner technology to be present right now. And in terms of expressing our gifts and talents, I go back to the star meditation that William does, in CYD or whichever course it is, where we sort of get a glimpse of why we came here and our purpose. And sometimes it feels more alive, and other times it sort of disappears, and the mundane, getting caught up in life, takes over. The washing up and the making beds and the spark of the gift and talent to express isn't there so much. For me, mine is about teaching and connecting and educating and learning. And so I love showing up for these, because that part of me that loves to learn gets fed. And I feel alive when I'm in that, using those gifts and talents and able to express myself and be creative, and kind of sometimes it quietens the identity part, other times it fuels it. It depends where my focus is. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Great share. Kate, I think you had your hand up, yeah?
Yeah, I was married to a chiropractor for a long time, so
Oh.
it changed my life. And I've seen him work miracles, and I got to really understand the body's innate ability to heal itself. And I think that's kind of helped integrating this work for me as well. And I also read Norman Doidge's book, The Brain That Changes Itself, which was just extraordinary. And so I love knowing that there's that well, all of me really, but it's taken longer to understand how my psychology, or that part of me, the natural success part of me, actually is a vibrant part of me. Getting my body and my nervous system aligned, that was like huge. But doing this work has really got me in touch with my gifts and talents, which I didn't. It was like it's hard to kind of describe, because it's like it wasn't a concept, but it was like at some level I knew what I was good at, but then my ego and the way I was brought up wasn't allowed to step into that, because it was vain and who do you think you are, and you're just like some big head person. So to finally be somewhere where your gifts and talents are actually like honored has been probably the greatest gift for me, from that point of view. And when I'm in that space, there is just, it's like the pendulum. It's not because I've done this thing of swing out here because I love life there, and then I swing out here and I'm depressed as shit, and then swing out here and everything's great. And it's now I'm getting into that, the bit in the middle where it's like, it's more like yes. A little celebration, because I know in my heart that I'm doing the thing that's my true nature and purpose. So yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank
Cool.
you. Thanks for your share. Anybody else wanted to share? I didn't see any hands up. Oh, yes, Nick.
Just love the reminder that change is learning a new experience. And that, if we're in that freeze state, we don't have the bandwidth, headspace to be able to shift, and yeah, I've just been reflecting on my circumstances for the last couple of years, and there's been some huge stuff happening, and I agree with Eva as well about that sadness of the parts that are separated that I've switched off. Yeah, so yeah, I really love that. It just really resonated with me, just for that perspective.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one thing that occurred to me when Kate, when you were speaking, was that the reason why I love this work is because and why it really has helped me move further is because I started to get adjusted regularly, say about 25 years ago, and my nervous system started to become more coherent and more regulated. I started to integrate parts of me that were stuck in survival, that were forgotten. However, I started to become more connected with me and with everybody around me. I realized at some stage that I was even afraid as a kid, because I spent a long, like, decades in shutdown, in complete shutdown, actually, that I was completely, I didn't even look people in the eye. And all of a sudden I started to look people in the eye, and I was like, wow, I never did before. That was you had that too, Kate. Yeah. So I started to become more connected, and I felt, I felt more alive. I was participating in the game of life, as in just being too afraid to participate and standing on the sideline. So I was participating in life. However, I still didn't really quite know how to direct this connection. And that's why I love this work with natural success. And I'm actually combining the two, because you kind of need a really clear channel to direct your connection. Otherwise, you're just kind of connected and blissing out. And I had that too for a long time, because I had a real kind of a really strong here in Bali, like about 5, 6, 7 years ago, a really strong like a remembering of who I was. And I was kind of completely blissed out for the 2 years after, where I didn't do anything. I was just kind of completely blissed out. But so that's also not great, right? Because you wanna kind of, you've got this inner technology, you've got your body, you want to do stuff, right? You want to act it out. So that's yeah, that's what I love about this work. All right, let me go back to sharing again. So yeah, like we mentioned before, it's like you want to contribute to the world by sharing your gifts. You want to feel emotions as love and peace and joy and gratitude and bliss. And you want to learn how to use your inner technology in coherence towards a greater vision of your life. And eventually you want to be able to have that giving and receiving in balance too, where you're also able to receive abundance and prosperity from this connection with your creative source. And you want to do all of this with ease and flow, right? You don't want to, us women, we know really well how to burn the candle at both ends and just power through things and multitask and do a million things, right? So we don't want that either. And what does it mean to not live your true potential? It often means that you stay in your comfort zone where there is no growth or change, that you don't have that resilience and that bandwidth in your nervous system to be able to face life challenges. Giving your power away to circumstances or other people with emotions of fear, frustration, or hopelessness. And often this mental state, because the body and mind are connected, I see the body as your unconscious mind, actually, where there is a physical dis-ease as well. And ultimately, the question is, who's in control? Is it your primary, like your defense mechanisms? It's really, really good to have them, but you don't want to be stuck in them. Or are you staying in your comfort zone, or really fully engaging your prefrontal cortex and your higher self to be able to move into the thrive zone? Now, so why do so many of us struggle to live this expansive version of ourselves? And so this is me. I like to give an example from my life. I grew up in my parents. It was actually complete chaos. They were kind of hippies. We lived in a caravan and we had stables and horses, and it was complete chaos. And there wasn't really much space for me. So I learned very quickly to adjust and be really cooperative. Nobody really listened to me and all of that. So what do I want now? I want that, right? I want to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be heard. I want to be able to voice my truth and that people respect me and love me for that. What does that require? It means speaking up, knowing what I want, having clarity, taking action steps, being seen, all of that stuff that my nervous system actually does not know yet it is safe. So these are all new experiences for my nervous system, right? Because I haven't really experienced them before. And this is when your nervous system, if you don't know how, actually puts the hands the heels in the sand, because your nervous system always chooses to keep you safe first before creating your new desired reality, your dream reality. So your nervous system might go like, yeah, really great idea, your new reality. And I don't mind you dreaming about it for a little bit. And yeah, we can dream about it, but we're not going to take any action steps towards it because I don't know that this is safe, and I'm here to keep you safe. And I'm 500 years old. I'm much stronger and more powerful than you, so it's not going to happen. And this is often the reason that we stay stuck. So it's structural, it's not personal. So that's because we're meaning-making beings, right? We always make something mean something. But this is really structural. You're really stuck in a certain nervous system structure that is there to protect you and keep you safe. And you can change the structure. You can upgrade the structure at all times. But we first have to know how to do that. And like I said before, it will always prefer your old reality over your new reality, even if that means suffering, even if that means not living your true nature. It will always do that. And the answer is found, from my perspective, is found within our nervous systems. So this resistance that we're dealing with, right? And it's really, really strong. It is often because, like I explained, because your primary focus is on survival first. And it just doesn't know yet that your dreams are safe. It just doesn't know yet that your new experiences are safe. Because your nervous system actually, you've got this huge database. We're such incredibly powerful and intelligent beings. So every emotion, every experience, every thought, everything we've experienced in our life is all stored in this massive database. And when it doesn't know something yet, it just feels really unsure. And that massive database is actually stored mainly of experiences that were unsafe. So your nervous system acts both as a protector and a barrier. And we actually want it to stand next to us. So it helps us towards creating our dream vision. But we don't want it to stand in front of us, because if it stands in front of us, it really blocks our endeavors. Okay, so yes, we can change neural pathways. So when your nervous system is regulated or coherent, you have a certain resilience to learn and experience new things. And of course, these are necessary to grow and change and expand, which is what we want. When our nervous systems are chronically dysregulated, we stay stuck in a state of survival. And now it needs help from you to be able to move forwards. So you actually have to show your nervous system that it's safe and it listens. The only important part here is that you really have to show it and not tell it, because 80% of the vagus neural pathways that I'm going to talk about a little bit later are actually sensory pathways. So they go from the body to the brain. So by just talking to your nervous system and say like, why are you acting like this? Like there's nothing, this is, it's really always fine. Like, you're such a, getting frustrated and you're talking to it doesn't actually do so much. You have to really use your body to show it that it's safe. So we basically have 3 survive pathways and 1 thrive pathway that I call thrive pathway. So your survival states are your fight flight, which is facilitated by your sympathetic nervous system, which lives around thoracic 1 and lumbar 2 and 3. So when you have a lot of tension in that mid back, then you might be stuck in fight flight. Then there is the shutdown state. I call it shutdown because it's initiated or facilitated by the dorsal vagal nerve. And the stuck state is a freeze state, which is a hybrid between dorsal and vagal and sympathetic. So the vagus nerve has two branches, the ventral and the dorsal. The dorsal facilitates stuck, and ventral is actually a thrive pathway. And all these states are designed to keep you safe from an external threat. So in all states, your external world becomes the dominating force, right? Because when you're in survive, you're always protecting yourself from an external threat. So you're making your circumstances the dominating force. You're either fighting your circumstances, or you're fleeing from them, or you're hiding from them, which is an avoidance strategy. And freeze is actually a hybrid, a combination. So one thing is really important to know is that in a regulated nervous system, it's actually really good that we have this nervous system. Like this morning, I was on my motorbike in Bali, and I was with my dog, was sitting on the front of my bike, and we were on our way to the beach to go for a beach walk. And I was, and we were going over like small little roads, and I was like, isn't it great that we all have nervous systems that want to keep us safe? Otherwise, it would be a chaos on the road, right? So I'm very happy that we all have nervous systems that want to keep us safe, because otherwise cars with motors would fly all over the place. Everybody would just go crazy, right? So it's really good that it's here. And when you're faced with a real threat, you are able to mobilize, get back to safety. And when the threat has passed, you will get back into a state of ease and flow. So this is actually our ultimate state where it's regulated. However, when it's dysregulated and when there is an incoherent nervous system, you often get alarmed without a real threat, because you think, oh, this actually reminds me of something. For example, you might be afraid in the dark and you don't know why, but your huge database has stored some sort of incident that happened when you were little and it was dark. So it's like, oh, this reminds me of something, boof, unsafe, right? So this is where your nervous system is dysregulated, and you will chronically stay in a survival mode. And then your nervous system needs help from you, because it doesn't know how to move back to a state of ease and flow. And most of us fall into this final group, because also really our whole educational system, our whole, I don't want to blame anything or point any fingers, but it's really not so safe for a lot of us, right? It's like we don't feel so safe in our governments and all of that. They don't feel very safe. So the way our culture is set up is not a very safe environment for a lot of us. So we fall in the last group. And I assume that most of us are familiar with the book from Robert Fritz, right? The Path of Least Resistance. I think everybody has probably read it, right? I love it so much. Like every time I open it, I read something new. There's just so much in there in that book. But I was reading about it, and he talks about the reactive responsive orientation, and where he writes that we, as a child, we learned that there is a right way of doing things. And our job was to learn the right way from people that seem to know better. And we did that. Our nervous systems do that because we want to, loving connection is actually important for our survival as well. So we want to connect and we want to be loved. But of course, we learned very quickly how to protect ourselves and to receive loving connection. And we formed ideas and stories and beliefs on how life works. And we adopted strategies to survive. We learned about power, and mostly that power is outside of us. And we learned that we are powerless and insignificant. And I couple those strategies to the nervous system again too, where the avoidance nervous system is very much dorsal and shutdown, which is actually the oldest pathway in your nervous system to keep you safe. I believe we share this with the, how do you call those lizards and how do you call those animals? Lizards and
reptiles.
Reptiles, yes. We actually share them with reptiles because they also have this ability to completely shut down. And like I said before, I spent like a long time in shutdown where you actually completely disassociate from everything around you, from the whole world. As a kid, I was always in my own dream world. Teachers always told me they couldn't get any contact with me because I was in my own dream world, creating my own reality. And I was completely disassociated and disconnected from myself and others. Like I said before, I couldn't even watch look people in the eye, and that I used this strategy to keep me safe. And it's a really human, natural strategy to keep you safe. It's perfectly normal. It's not personal. It's structural. And then the other two are where you either cooperative or uncooperative. So that reminds me a little bit more of the fight-flight state, where you have a bit more. So in avoidance, in shutdown, there is actually not much available energy in your system. But with fight-flight, you have more energy and you're able to mobilize to either fight or flight your way out. So, and then the stuck state is actually a combination of the two. And this is typically a state where you oscillate. So you've got enough energy in your system, but you don't know how to use it. So I compare this with the deer in the headlights. So you have the energy to mobilize, but you don't know how. And it's typically one way you move forward. For example, you say, I can, I can't, I should, I shouldn't, I must, I mustn't, I want to, I don't want to. So it's often that kind of, that oscillating, which I've also been in for so long, like decades in this nervous system structure, and you feel, you've got all this energy in your body, but you don't know how to direct it. And often you have butterflies in your stomach as well. So there is a nervousness in your body as well. Like for a long time, I believed that I was in love, like honestly. I thought I was in love with the whole world. But then I really realized they're just butterflies in my stomach because I'm nervous. So it didn't have anything to do with love. I was just stuck in this nervous system state. These are some of the signs and symptoms of a dysregulated nervous system. Let me just have a little look at the time because I think we have to. So I'm just going to, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. So this is the fight-flight pathway where you have more energy. You have also more courage. There's often can be a little bit of anxiousness as well. You might have a short fuse. You might be a bit cynical or suspicious or argumentative. There is you can only see one perspective, which is often your own narrative, of course. And there is again a powerlessness, and one where you habitually react to your circumstances. And like I said before, the shutdown survive pathway is where you actually use a lot of avoidance strategies. And the last survive pathway, it's also with the survive pathway, which is the ventral vagal complex. And here we survive by connecting with people. So here, our internal threat detector, which is basically our autonomic nervous system, senses here when it labels our internal and external environment as safe. This is where it's a coherent and regulated state of safety, presence, and connection. You want to hang out here most of the time. It's your pathway to healing and health and happiness. This is an I can experience, and it's the newest addition, and it lives here in your frontal cortex and your prefrontal cortex. You feel empowered, you feel in the flow. There is feelings of love and joy, and you're connected to your intuition and your higher self. And most important, you're able to learn new experiences. You're able to grow and expand, and you're able to hold an expansive version of yourself. And these are some of the signs and symptoms of a regulated nervous system. So yeah, the invitation here is to connect deeply with your nervous system, to befriend your nervous system, and to learn how your inner technology is key to get unstuck and living the life you love. And to see your nervous system not as an enemy, but as a really overly protective friend that just doesn't know yet that your vision is safe. And where we have to show our nervous systems that it's safe. These are some of the neural exercises that you can do. Oh, sorry. Where you are literally speaking with your nervous system, and it does listen. And it will give you a sense of control, but not in a controlly way, but in an empowered way that you can actually work together with your nervous system. I see it as a dance where you're dancing together. Most of you are probably aware of some and most of those techniques, like breathing techniques. I find it really helpful. I do them most mornings. Tapping, emotional freedom technique. There's a lot of information on the internet available. Singing and humming, the voo sound is really amazing. I do that often, even before I have to do something scary or something new. I tap, I sway, shaking, connecting with a friend, of course, chiropractic or any other forms of body work. The Adjust Your Mind method is really my spill on the natural success work. And of course, nature, sunshine. And one really big thing that I love that really regulates my nervous system is being around animals. I've got a dog and 2 cats, and they are so hugely regulating. Great. I am going to I'm going to put people in a breakout rooms. How many are we? We are, without me, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it 6? 6, right?
There is a number of participants you can see on the bottom.
Oh yeah, because
if you go on a Zoom screen on the bottom, there's a bar you can see.
Yeah, because I was sharing my screen. I'm just stop sharing now. There we are. Yeah, so we are 6 without me. So I'm going to first of all, before we start with that, are there any questions so we can go over what we're going to do in the circles? Did anybody want to make a screenshot of that? Might be easy, or make a photo so you know what to do. Or shall I put it in the chat? Is that better in the chat?
Well, there's nowhere else to see it. Well, I can't anyway.
Okay, let's be good. I'm going to share my screen one more time. One moment. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, let's make it bigger.
Let's see if we have enough time for two. Yeah, we do. We do have enough time for 15 minutes per person. So you'll be in breakout rooms for about 30 minutes. So we have some time for share after that. And the first circle will be your victim circle. Are there any questions about this? This is quite self-explanatory, right? And then, of course, the bridge, there is a bridge as well. And really, the invitation is to look a little bit deeper into what's in, read each other on what strategies you've adopted to protect yourself, and lead that back to the nervous system. What nervous system state are you picking up? Is your intuition picking up for the other person? How does this affect the choices you make? And how does it affect the experienced reality that you're creating for yourself? And in your vision circle, what happens when you're able to regulate your nervous system and step into the fullness of that vision? And the bridge, that's one thing I didn't mention yet, but what is really important with the bridge and with your nervous system is that you take really small steps, especially when you're strongly in survive. Because if you take too big of a step, then the nervous system will block your endeavors again. So what are the next obvious steps that you can take to bring your and I was inviting yes, I think it's good to choose one choice that is stuck for this exercise. So choose one choice that is stuck. Because then we can really gain some information about how your nervous system is keeping you stuck. Any questions on this? Quite clear, yeah? Okay, let's make the breakout rooms now. Oh, yeah, yes, Ava.
So when we're looking into that inquiry of what nervous system structure is our predominant state, we're just doing that intuitively, or are we trying to come up with the name, because I didn't take on all that information that you shared.
No, you don't have to. I think you just intuitively pick up on what strategy is used, and you don't have to use the words or the words that I used. Okay, I'm just going to put you in a breakout room, and I'll see you shortly after, yeah? Welcome back, everybody.
Some timing.
Oh, what happened? Did I pull you back too early?
Yeah, well, I didn't know what timing we were on. I didn't know
Oh,
when we started.
it was, I
So
think,
it just became
15
guesswork.
minutes per person, right?
Yes, time yeah, but you still need a structure around the timing.
Yes,
But
I could have put banners in, but then I forgot to say timekeeper. That's why. Oh, does somebody want to concretize and share what came up? Any information that we received? Kate
that was fantastic.
and Kay as well.
Oh.
Yes.
So Nick and I have been having a bit to do with each other through the potato challenge, and then afterwards, and then we got together. So I just thought that in itself was brilliant. And she was nervous about reading, and I remember what that used to be like, and she did a bloody brilliant job. It was like, I can't even describe it. I just feel like I got what I needed to get by coming. It's too long to explain, and she knows and I know. And I just feel like I got given a gift because I know how to do what I have to do with what I got. And my nervous system thanks you for this session.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I can contribute to that. Yes, thank you. Thanks for your share. Was it Kay as well that wanted to share?
Yeah, and I think you summed it up there very well, Kate. This was a beautiful way that you presented it around the nervous system, with the questions and the structure. So, Dagger read me so well, and she says, "Oh, this feels, is it real?" And I just explained to her everything she felt was certainly real. And it was beautiful stepping into her energy with this too. There was such a contrast between the victim and the vision. And the vision was so beautiful, and it kept highlighting that we spend some of our time choosing from that victim state rather than choosing from the vision state, don't we? That really got reinforced so clearly. And we didn't quite finish. And I just wanted to confirm to Diego, to her bridge is to just connect to the heavens and make your choices from there. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I'm sorry about the timing. I didn't mean to.
It was on the sheet. You had it
okay.
listed.
Yeah. Great share. Thank you. Ava?
Thank you. Yeah, I was really nervous going into it because I'm feeling really heightened. And so I was like, how am I going to be able to read someone else? And then I think the magic of this work is, we're just able to put that aside because I'm back in my anxiety again now. But while I was reading back, I was in a different state. So that was an interesting experience for me to, go through that as well. A bit harder to receive the vision being in that heightened state. So something I'm going to come back to. But yes, some really great information, and yeah, I think sometimes we come to these things and there's nowhere to hide, which might be what is raising my anxiety and bringing a choice that I haven't brought probably since starting this work. Bit of pretending been going on maybe. So it was a perfect session to bring that out. Yeah, thank you. I've had a day and I was like, oh, I'm just going to check what the session's on. Like, do I go or not? Depending on what is on, I was like, I need to go to that one. And, I enjoyed, I enjoyed, like Kay said, the connection with the nervous system was really, really key for me today, rather than us always, you know, calling it ego and something that's out there, because I'm in that nervous place today, so I get it. So thank you.
Yeah, and you know what becomes obvious now with your share is actually I should have done a little like a little meditation actually before the circle work, just to get your nervous systems in that flow state and thrive pathway. That would have been nice to regulate your nervous system a little bit before you step into the circles. Yeah.
I wouldn't have had that rich referencing experience if we've done that, so maybe it's perfect.
Yeah, but it's really interesting what you say, Eva, about that you actually by stepping into your intuition and you're letting your higher self in your thrive pathway, giving space for your thrive pathway, is actually regulating in and of itself. Yeah. 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 Great. Thank you. Deiga.
Yeah, what came to me as well is about this. There's so many concepts and ideas that I come across with how it's called. It can be called ego. It can be called mind. It could be called thrive and higher self and intuition and wisdom. There's just so many words and concepts that we come across that it literally terminology isn't really important. But what else came to my mind when Eva was talking about this, that you were in this anxious space and then you were able to step out of it, and connect with this thrive space. And I know when the exercise is over, then you're kind of back in your anxious space. And what occurred to me is, why do you want to choose to be back in anxious space if you can choose to kind of stay in that thrive space? I don't expect the answer to that. It's just what occurred to me, and that's all. I thought I'll just put that out.
Yeah. Thanks for that. And what is obvious for me also when you were sharing, Deiga, is that the more resistance you feel in your body and your mind, the more love as well. I think Beata spoke about it in the resistance workshop, but that it's actually proportional to love. So if it's too comfortable, you're actually not on the right track. And when you are feeling a little uncomfortable with it, yeah, there might be a lot of resistance, but it also means that there is a lot of love there as well. Yeah. But it just doesn't know yet, your nervous system, that your vision is actually safe to experience. Great. Well, anybody else before we leave? I think that was it then. Great. Well, thanks everybody for your energy and your commitment to be here. I really, really loved it. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll do another one on this same topic. I think it's probably good to dive a bit deeper into this. Yeah. Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
Much needed for me today.
Yeah,
Thank
perfect.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.